Today, we're diving into a really big topic, burnout. It's much more than just feeling tired, isn't it? Our mission here is to unpack those early signs, the ones that often creep up on you. We'll explore the why behind it, and importantly, look at prevention, using insights from various articles, research, and expert notes.
Exactly. And I think it's vital right from the start to be clear on the World Health Organization's view. They call burnout an occupational phenomenon. That means it's not classified as a medical disease, and crucially, it's not some kind of personal failing.
That's a really important distinction.
It is. It has three core dimensions: feeling depleted, totally exhausted. Then there's increased mental distance from your job, maybe cynicism or negativity. And finally, reduced professional efficacy, feeling like you're just not effective anymore. So it frames burnout as a response to your work environment. It's different from acute stress, and it shows why just telling individuals to cope better often misses the mark.
Right, the environment itself is key. Okay, so let's get into those early signals, because burnout doesn't happen overnight, it's gradual. First up, you often hear about this chronic fog of exhaustion. And alongside that, maybe unexplained physical symptoms. This isn't just, I need a coffee. It's like a persistent physical and mental fatigue, a heavy fog that sleep doesn't seem to lift. And your body often starts, well, keeping score, right? Manifesting as maybe headaches, muscle aches, stomach problems, things like that.
That's a great way to put it, keeping the score. It's like your body's alarm system is constantly on red alert. Bessel van der Kolk, the trauma expert, talks about this, how our thinking brain might try to ignore the stress, push through it, but the feeling brain, the body, it remembers, and it expresses that overload through these physical symptoms. It's a clear signal.
A signal we often ignore, unfortunately. And that physical toll, it seems to lead right into the next sign, the eruption of cynicism and detachment. This is a big shift in attitude, isn't it? Like an emotional distance, feeling numb towards work, maybe even colleagues. What I found fascinating was the physiological side of this, how burnout can actually start rewiring things in the brain.
Oh, absolutely. It's quite profound physiologically. Your amygdala, that's the brain's fear or threat center, it becomes hyperactive, always on alert. But at the same time, areas needed for emotional regulation, even for speech, they can become sort of deactivated.
Wow. So it literally becomes harder to express what you're feeling.
Yes, or even to feel connected to things you used to care about. It reinforces that detachment, that numbness.
Which then flows into the next sign, I suppose. The ghost of diminished efficacy. You start doubting yourself, your competence, feeling like you can't handle tasks you used to manage easily, maybe making silly mistakes. It really erodes your self-belief.
That erosion of confidence is key.
And what's crucial here, I think, is connecting this feeling of inadequacy back to systemic issues. Like, it's not always you. It could be micromanagement or completely unclear expectations, turning that external pressure into internal self-doubt.
Precisely. The external environment directly impacts that internal feeling of capability. It's not happening in a vacuum.
So if these things continue, what's next? Often it's this spiral of avoidance and maladaptive habits, meaning maybe pulling back from social stuff, procrastinating more at work, or in more severe cases, leaning on things like too much sugar, maybe more alcohol than usual.
Right. It can be seen as the brain trying to cope with a reality that feels intolerable. Self-isolation isn't just a choice. It can be a biological consequence of the brain struggling, losing that capacity for connection.
Okay, so that paints a pretty clear picture of the signs. But let's zoom out. Why does this happen? Why are some people maybe more susceptible? You mentioned it's complex.
It really is. It's this interplay of biology, our personal history, and importantly, our culture. Biologically, we know chronic stress actually changes the brain. That hyperactive amygdala we mentioned, and sometimes even a shrinking hippocampus, which affects memory and learning. And then there's personal history. Sometimes early life experiences, childhood wounds, as some call them, can set up patterns. Like the wound of injustice might lead someone to become a rigid perfectionist, always overachieving, pushing themselves too hard.
Making them prime candidates for burnout later on.
Potentially, yes. Or the wound of humiliation, perhaps leading to someone who overcommits, always putting others first, neglecting their own needs, the sort of self-sacrificing pattern. These underlying dynamics can make individuals more vulnerable in stressful environments.
That's such an important layer. So it's not just about the job right now. It can be these deeper, ingrained responses interacting with the present stress.
Exactly. But, and this is a huge but, we can't ignore the systemic issues. We operate within a modern burnout culture. Unmanageable workloads, feeling like you have no control, poor communication, lack of support from leadership. These are massive drivers.
Mm.
Often, the most effective solutions need to happen at the management and organizational level, not just placing the burden on the individual to be more resilient.
Okay, that makes total sense. So bringing it all together, what's the path forward? For healing, for prevention, it sounds like it needs to be holistic, part individual, part system. So for you, listening on an individual level, what can you do? Well, setting clear boundaries is huge. Learning to say no or delegate if possible. Also, engaging in mind-body practices, things like yoga, meditation, even just deep breathing can help regulate your nervous system. And basic self-care, which often goes out the window first. Aim for 7-9 hours of sleep. Think about nourishing food. Try to get a simple 20-minute walk in. And crucially, don't isolate, seek support. Friends, family, maybe a therapist.
Absolutely. And then on the systemic side, leaders really need to step up. It's about reimagining how work is structured. Can schedules be more flexible? Is the workload actually manageable? Are people genuinely encouraged to disconnect? It's also about fostering a culture of genuine support, acknowledging effort, not just results, and aligning company values with actions to prevent what's called moral injury, that deep distress when your work forces you to act against your core beliefs. At the end of the day, burnout isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign, a powerful one, that your limits or the system's limits have been pushed too far. So it really does require that two-pronged approach. Personal healing and changes, yes, but also fundamental shifts in our work culture and organizations.
A powerful summary. So as we wrap up this deep dive, here's a thought to leave you with. What environments are you currently navigating? And looking ahead, how can you both advocate for healthier structures around you while also compassionately nurturing yourself within them? Something to reflect on.